They know that a $10,000 plus XRP coin is coming, and in this video I want to talk to you about who they are, when it all goes down, and some things that were said here today. If you do like talking about Ripple and XRP, type in X in the comment section, smash that like button, and let's get into it. A lot to unpack here today in this quick video, but first off, I want to discuss who they are. And it's the institutions and the Bitcoin maxis. Now, starting with the Bitcoin maxis, right? We've got Max FUD out there, peak FUD going on right now with the Bitcoin maxis trying to call XRP a scam. Why? They feel threatened. That's very clear, very obvious, and knowing what is about to happen. Now, I have no issue with Bitcoiners out there, Bitcoin maxis that only want to invest in Bitcoin, calling XRP a scam. Why? Because it brings further exposure to the coin, and thanking individuals that can take a look at what Ripple's done with thousands of institutions and how the XRPL has been tested and piloted over the years, and XRP being a solution, a viable solution to move value, to move liquidity and lightning speed, 3 to 5 second finality time on the XRPL versus Bitcoin. That used to be, many speculate it would be the new form of money and a way to move value. And we all know that the network at this point in time is not capable of that, right? And so now it's been considered a store of value. And so people buy Bitcoin because they believe it's a good store of value. But there's no real utility or use cases like what we have with XRP. And so while we've seen, thousands of partnerships happen with Ripple, ready to go into this new digital revolution, ready to actually use the utility at scale, here today we had Canary Capital introducing the XRPC, the Canary XRP ETF. Now, this is a huge step as we have our first official 100% spot XRP ETF for the legitimacy of XRP. Canary Capital writes, providing exposure to the native token on the XRPL. That is what this XRP ETF is doing. And why? Built to reflect network performance across payments and liquidity protocols. Backed by XRP's established utility, keyword utility, and cross-border value transfer, designed for efficiency, speed, and scalability within distributed finance. Lastly, they wrote, we believe the XRP ledger represents a leading framework for global payments, purpose-built for interoperability and real-world settlement, which Bitcoin is not capable of doing in real time for settlement, right? And purpose of interoperability, we know that XRP is an interoperable token that can work with many currencies, and that is why it is a solid bridge, neutral bridge currency and commodity that will allow for value transfer, the internet of value. And so who are they again? The institutions, we talk about the central banks that have been working with Ripple, even Tim Scott himself talking about how the Clarity bill they believe will be passed by the end of December. And yesterday we talked about how that will really be the monumental moment where we can really see that flip of the switch moment. Do I subscribe to the idea of an overnight movement? Yes. Not with ETFs. I've been very clear that the ETFs are good in terms of investment vehicle and bringing capital in, but the overnight movement that we've talked about in the past with Will Fix theory, in terms of he believed even over 25,000 overnight, which sounds crazy, but what we do have to understand is Ripple's been working with these institutions behind the scenes, and they need to know what the price is going to be, and if it's going to be capable of moving liquidity at mass scale, which we know it is and will. But bringing these institutions on, going live on the XRPL, you're going to see mass adoption very, very quickly after the Clarity Act. And many are well aware that at that point in time, all this hype out there, it will all go away. And so at that point in time, for the Bitcoiners, the Bitcoin maxis out there, there will not be anything more to debate. It will be very obvious that XRP is the chosen token, the utility token to move large sums of capital for these institutions, the payment providers. They call us crazy often, but what is crazy in my personal opinion, what isn't rational thinking, what isn't logic, is thinking that XRP isn't going to be used when we know we have thousands of institutions out there already partnered, right? Logical thinking tells us that they've chosen XRP, and we're seeing with the institutions going live with the ETFs now that the institutions are in on XRP because of the efficiency, speed, scalability, and so forth, and what it can do for distributed finance. And so when XRP really takes off in a big way, right? When it gets that mass adoption, when it takes off, it's going to go completely silent in this space because it will be obvious from a price standpoint. Now, as investors, we got to be visionaries, right? We have to be able to see what's coming before it actually arrives. And that's why I've said many of us have been so incredibly blessed, so lucky to get in on this coin at single digits for so long and accumulating XRP and getting in a big way before the institutions and front running the institutions and understanding the technology. Yes, globally, there is less than 1% of the population of the world that actually knows, understands XRP, is in XRP. But with that, the biggest gains are to be made in being part of the early adopters. And that's just how it works out. And so, yeah, we are extremely close to that big movement for XRP. It's not going to come off XRP ETFs. It's going to be mass adoption. It's going to be with clarity. But what we have to understand is what's going on, who they are, what they know in terms of what is coming to this market as those institutions that know what XRP is doing. We hear that from Canary Capital, but many other institutions out there talking about what XRP can do now, versus understanding that Bitcoin is just deemed a store of value. And that's it, right? Just a store of value. It's not a solution for the world of finance going forward. It is that liquidity. It is that value running through the network, running through the chain, through the XRPL, that's going to prop up the price of XRP in a very big way. That's going to have a lot of people spinning and taking a look back and saying, wow, what just happened? It took off in a big way. Many people weren't expecting it, but we've been talking about it for a very long time now, and day by day we get just one step closer to actually seeing that mass adoption, to actually seeing all the hype, all the retail negativity go away. And I never have a problem with anyone critiquing a coin, a crypto, right? You never want to FUD your own bag, because at this point in time, though, the market does run largely off emotion, but it won't always be that way. It will be a situation where you see the utility and use cases put out in mass scale, and only the XRP coin right now has the ability to do it for the institutions. Not saying it's the fastest blockchain in the world at this point in time, but that network effect, it is what's gotten XRP to be of the chosen coin to actually move the internet of value, to actually move all the liquidity for these institutions, central banks, and so forth. Now, real quickly, I want to talk about a couple different things that you'll hear out there. And as one, some do believe that it'll be more gradual, right? And you'll see trillions come onto the XRPL over time. Trillions come onto the XRPL, and it'll lift the price up more gradually than all at once and seeing a big overnight movement. Putting some logic to that, my response would be, what would the institutions be waiting for? What would the central banks be waiting for? Because they have been waiting for a very long time. They've been doing the testing. They've been doing the pilots with Ripple, with this technology. And we've even heard this year CEOs, the likes of Morgan Stanley and others, talking about how they are literally ready to go all in, but they must have clarity. And so what we have to understand is that there are central banks right now partnered with Ripple that do more volume in a single day than what Bitcoin does an entire year. We take a look at the market cap multiplier, what that means for price movement, and seeing XRP coming, enormous amounts of liquidity coming on chain. We're going to see, I believe, a serious spike on the price of XRP, one that many just will not see coming. And again, people arguing that mathematically it doesn't make sense. We have to understand that the XRPL is a network. This is a utility token we have with XRP. It is not a stock. And what we have never seen in history is trillions flow onto a network and what that means for price. Logically thinking, we have to understand that means that demand will make a serious, very, very big move for the price of XRP, in my opinion, essentially overnight. A very, very big move. I don't see why logically we would see institutions going in gradually, slowly, when they've already got all the work out of the way. They've already got the pilots and testing out of the way. I think it is going to be a flood of capital in, and I do believe that a lot of people won't see it coming. So with all that being said, guys, and taking a look at what XRP was designed to do for the world of finance, to do for global finance, I think it's important to realize that it's not our job to convince anyone that XRP is going to a high value or what it was designed to do and what it was designed to be. I think it's important for us as individuals to take a look at it, use our own logic, and come up with our own thesis and understanding what we believe XRP is capable of doing. None of us have a crystal ball. No one can tell exactly what is going to happen in the future from day to day, right? Because there are many factors out there that can change things dramatically. But what won't change anything, in my personal opinion, is what is coming for XRP. We know that all the infrastructure has been laid out. We know what Ripple's been doing. We know what XRP has been designed to do. And I think it's very, very clear what is about to happen at this point in time. With that being said, guys, I appreciate both your time and support. If you haven't already subscribed, click that subscribe button. We'd love to have you in the community, and we'll see you all in the next one.